This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Welcome to the Row 1 Seat 1 podcast. This is Ben, aka Boston Yuga. Man, it's been another week. It's been a crazy week. And I want to bring on the most positive person I know, the biggest force of personality I know, the one guy who can make it okay. And that is Mr. Brickster. Brick, welcome to the show.
Brother, thank you so much for having me. Really, really appreciate it. It means the world to just be able to gather, even if we're not socially in a setting, and just get a chance to just kind of just connect and just love on each other, love on the wrestling community. We're obviously in some tough times right now, things that no one could have predicted. But I believe that we'll come out on top of this. I just don't think, it is a lose-lose situation as of now. And that's the way it looks, but I don't believe that will be the way it finishes.
Well, Brick, thank you so much. Now, you didn't start as Brick. Tell us about Little Ricky.
So Little Ricky was just kind of this really big personality kid who kind of just was the youngest of three.
Buffalo, right?
Yeah, up in Buffalo, New York. Grew up kind of right in the city line. And my family, my mom was pregnant with my sister a week out of high school, and then my dad was young, and they were, 18, so they had a few kids and stuff, but it just didn't really work out, and they both made their mistakes or whatever. But long story short, my mom ended up taking care of us, and kind of just grew up on my own because she was out making the money, and then my brother and sister were really the babysitters in it all. But we just kind of grew up on our own and just made a lot of poor decisions and just kind of been in the streets and stuff like that. But, nothing like gangbangerish, but definitely like, I guess people would say like white trash or something. It's fine. It's cool. But then going through school and stuff, I started getting plugged in sports and all that. That kind of really helped me. Was always really into theater, musicals, plays, and all that stuff. Really, I was just so interested in it because I loved acting. So going through school, I did half of the year in sports, half of the years in musicals. I really wanted to be, an actor or famous growing up, I believe, or some type of that. Obviously, I was young, dumb, and selfish, so I don't know what that meant. But
we all want to be famous in some way, though.
That was kind of the story. Made a lot of poor decisions. My grandma always took us to church because she was like the sound one, my grandma and grandpa, because like no one else would. And like we would go there as kids and go to some Christian camps and stuff. And I just kind of would just grab onto things when I would go as a kid. Never really followed or anything, but like after I got older and made a bunch of bad decisions and, got a million second chances. Just kind of became, just more sound in who I am, started pursuing the Lord and just finding out who I am as a person and what my purpose is.
Now, where did wrestling come into play in all of that? Because were you one of those early adopters, or did you catch on to wrestling kind of later as you went?
So, like, my dad was my, best friend. As much as, my younger childhood was pretty shot, I guess we got older, we all came together and everything. And I have two incredible parents. One passed. Yesterday was the 6th-year anniversary of it. Rest in peace, Pops.
Man, my head's out to you.
Yeah, and then, I got my mom. But my dad was a diehard wrestling fan. We had the cheater box in the basement,
nice.
The pancake, and we would all go over there on Sundays. My brother was 4 years older than me, so they were all driving. So I was just the younger brother jumping in the car. But we'd go there over on Sundays. We'd watch all the pay-per-views. He would have a TV connected to the one TV we were watching. He was a video game just hawk, so we would have all the video games playing while we're watching. This is like my whole childhood growing up.
Your dad sounds like one of us.
Oh yeah. He would be just like you. If he was still around, like he would travel, he'd literally cut from the same cloth as you. And like then, like my dad was really extreme. He would start getting really into video games, really in depth. So I think that's where he started getting into like a lot of Japanese video games, because he was starting to get systems with chips and games that don't even come to the States, or Metal Gear Solid months before it even come here.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it's like he would start kind of trying to translate Japanese and all this stuff. And I think he started getting into like some kind of like deathmatch wrestling. And then he started getting into, ECW. And then it started coming through Buffalo on a loop. And as a kid, I would go with him and we'd bring all the weapons, and it was really cool.
You and your dad would go and bring weapons to ECW.
Oh yeah.
That was your father-son bonding moment.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, so like my friends would come with us, and he was kind of the cool dad. And like we would all go and we just watch like Sabu and Sandman just like, take chair shot after chair shot, and just Al Snow just erupt the place with head. And Taz would walk by me, and I touched him, one time, and he smelled like peppermint. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so jacked. He smells like peppermint. This is crazy. Like I was like getting all these wild, crazy, like those are my moments that got me, like going to hardcore wrestling, with my dad and stuff. And like, I guess for me, I always wanted to be, an actor and everything, an entertainer. And I just think for me, as far as like pursuing the wrestling business, I started pursuing it, really getting into it about half a decade ago, about 5 years ago. And so I kind of got into it at an earlier age. But I think after like I tragically lost my dad, and like I wanted to get back into the performing world to be an entertainer, and wrestling started really pursuing. I really wasn't looking for it. It kind of found me. But I'm telling you right now, it's kind of those weird things, because I've been married for a decade, and my wife could testify to this. Like the whole time we've been married for the last 10 years, anywhere I would go, and this is for my whole marriage, not even being a wrestler, anywhere I'd go, people would ask if I was or think I was a wrestler.
Really?
So after
I could see that.
Being looked as a wrestler for so long and loving it, I was like, well, what the heck? I mean, I might as well just shoot for this, because, the look is really important in that business.
Oh yeah, and you are unmistakably a pro wrestler. That is, in every way.
It means a lot to me, because I love the business, and I know that the business is constantly changing, and I respect it. I'm with it. I'm definitely on the wave, and I love it all. But I also love that nostalgia of like growing up on wrestling and seeing those wrestlers that really, the Goldusts, the Ric Flairs, the Shawn Michaels, the Macho Mans, like all that stuff. I'm kind of like a piece of it all, like that's who I am. So I just I like being identified in that era, if that means anything.
Oh, you're definitely a throwback. Now, one other thing you did as a youth, I guess, I don't know how old you were. You never told me how old you were when you did it. But some people might know you as Romance from I Love New York. How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah, so that happened all in Tampa Bay. It was one of my last stops in Tampa Bay, which goes to show you how crazy Tampa Bay gets.
Tampa's insane,
which is so sad to even say that right now. But yeah, I just turned 21. I was in Tampa Bay. I was in Ybor City, right where we were about to set up shop for the next 3 weeks. And I was just going and out celebrating my 21 with a couple buddies, and it was my last night there. And we went to a place called the Amphitheater, and it was just, I guess it was just kind of like a more like a dance club thing. But like people were like juggling fire and like spitting fire, and you know what I'm saying? Like it was a little bit more. I was just hanging, doing my thing.
And I've seen you do your thing. You got moves.
And I was just doing my thing, and like I guess on the top floor there was a bunch of guys casting for a show. They seen me. They approached me. Hey, are you interested? I didn't know what I was getting into. Being a guy from Buffalo, there's no entertainment. There's no outlets to pursue it. There's no, I'm going to go do extras for the movies. I mean, it's like in Buffalo, you're working for the steel plant, General Mills, swing shift, construction, for the state and the school systems. Like, there's no entertainment up there. That's the point. And
there's the bills. and the Sabres.
I shot a shot, man. You know, it's one thing I always did. You know, little Ricky always shot a shot. Always shot a shot. Any shot I got, I always shot. And as soon as they said you got one day to, you know, we could get this before you leave, we kind of cut plans. The next day, I decided to meet with them and just do a casting. And, you know, 2 weeks after the casting, I got a call stating I was going to be on a show. I had no idea what I was getting into. And when it was all said and done, it ended up being one of the biggest TV shows in history. It was on VH1 called I Love New York. And it was kind of the brink of reality TV back in 2007. It came out right after The Surreal Life, right after Flavor Flav. And it kind of just segued into this really cool reality TV universe that everyone enjoyed. The show was very well directed. It was very well written. It made fun of all those 20 guys. It made her look great. And it was just a hoot, man. Like, it's hilarious. So, you know, definitely made bad decisions and stuff. I was a young guy back then, definitely a selfish Brickster. But as far as being on that show and like being able to have it run every year it runs in all countries, especially around Valentine's Day, and be able to have box sets of it and constantly still get recognized for it, even till this day, even in the wrestling business, it's helped me tremendously. It's a blessing that I was even part of that cast.
What was your experience on the show like?
Well, you know, it's
what is it like on a reality show? Because I've obviously never been on one. I don't have the looks that you got, but
well, it's just like one of those things where, you know, they want to drop you into they want to drop everyone into the petri dish together at once, and then they want all the chemistry and all the combustion and all the chemicals and everything to mix at once to see what type of wild I guess show they can make. So a lot of it is, you know, you go there, you get on lockdown for about a week, and that's where you kind of start going stir crazy, especially if you're a young kid like me. I was the youngest by 2 years, just turned 21. They drop you there. You don't completely know if you got it yet because they're going to use 20 guys, but they flew out 25. So now they're really, you know, now they're crunching numbers a couple days before you're about to go. So for these 3-4 days, they won't let you out of the hotel because they block off the whole floor, and actually every single floor has an actual cast member in it. So me, for a couple of days, I'm starting to go crazy. So now I'm staring through the peephole, just watching people walk by to see who I'm going to, you know, be on the show with, you know. And you only got an hour a day out, which was either by a pool or just maybe hit the gym, and then you're right back up there. Through those few days, you're doing like castings, extra castings, pictures, everything to see if you're really going to be on the show. There's no 100% until the day before. They make you feel that way as well. You're not completely settled that you're going yet, even though you might be going.
It's like cut down day in the NFL, basically.
Yes.
But every day is that day.
And it's brilliant because it's a psychological test for someone that really completely fumbles them, so they go right into it imbalanced. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because you're focused so much on, are you going to get this? You don't even know if you're going to get it. Then all of a sudden you do get it, so like your emotions are high. So then they drop you literally right into this. So basically they would call you in the morning and say, okay, I'll come down for breakfast. All right. Wow, I could finally leave. I go down for breakfast, and you just eat your breakfast. Eat your breakfast quietly, and then there you go. You're eating breakfast in a room full of actual 20 guys, and you're all eating it quietly, and you're just looking at each other.
Sizing each other up, probably.
Yep, they don't want you to conversate. They don't want a little bit of, like, no conversations, right? Like, you just, okay, you guys didn't eat breakfast? Okay, get in 2 vans. Okay, we get in 2 vans. We drive up. He's playing music for us and stuff, so we're all talking a little bit. That was when Justin Timberlake's Sexy Back just came out, so like I remember that was playing, and like we were just making fun or whatever. Then as soon as we get dropped off in the driveway, all right guys, get up, get ready for camera shots. Cool. Do all that, walk in, introduce ourselves, go in the backyard, then they let us go. Okay guys, you can start talking now.
You can start drinking now.
Yeah. Right. So, all right, guys, the show's on now. You guys can talk, do what you got to do. So, like, then it's like, okay, well, so they basically get you right from the jump. They make sure that they have no space, so they give you no delay to make sure that the all raw emotions of how you actually feel about someone, you get directly on camera rather than us hanging out for a day, seeing who they are, already making our impression, then the camera comes out. So they literally get raw emotion. They make you very stir crazy, and they really mess with you psychologically right before you go in. So even the strongest guys will be a little bit funky.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what is the show like?
So the show is very it's very buddy because it's the way that they edited ours. We had no idea really what they were doing, but the only way I can think of it, to just kind of be the guy to be transparent, there's probably the $1 million man in the back room, because like one side of the house is blocked off, you can't go in because it's like all the camera crews,
Yeah.
like probably, and then the other side of the house we have all fair game for. Anything we wanted as far as like food, drinks, anything we could get, and then you all kind of pick your bed and you do your thing. Well, there's a guy behind the screen that is the mastermind, that is literally taking this whole thing, doing a play-by-play, almost like he's breaking down a sport with our personalities and finding ways to exit people, as well as finding ways to move people on. They had two paths for me. They had a path to completely eliminate me, or they had a path they could have took to actually push me on farther. I obviously got in a confrontation because that's who little Ricky was, and I obviously got taken out. But either way, like, you have a pretty good indication of, the storyline and kind of where it's going and things of that nature, So yeah, that was the experience. It was great. It was about a 3-year wave, I would say. It's about 3 years I probably wrote it. I did some cool things with it. I did cool things for hospitals. I got a chance to do things for Valentine's Day as romance, and then I got a chance to like kind of do some like, I guess just like other, I guess I would say dumb stuff now. They're just like, I don't know, back at that time it was like bar appearances. Those were really popular, like all the guys from like MTV.
Can't beat it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. So like all those guys, what was MTV stuff called? I forgot. What was it called?
I remember. Just say you were from MTV basically, and you get a bar appearance. It was great.
Yeah,
those were the times, man.
Road Rules guys. So it was like Road Rules guys or whatever, I Love Money ended up coming out. That could have been a whole new series that I definitely could have done. At that time, I was in a lot of just bad trouble and stuff because I was rolling with a lot of the bad people at that time. That took me a while to learn that one, man. Who you roll with is who you are. You guys got to know that. If you hang out with garbage long enough, you smell like it. Even if you were to take garbage and you had a 3,000 square foot house and you put it in one room, no matter what, you could always eventually smell it throughout that whole house. It might take time, but like eventually that house is going to smell a rot. And that's exactly how relationships are. So, you will be exposed through your relationships. And people need to know that. So as a young guy, I was rolling with a lot of people trying to ride coattails and steal fame and all this stuff. But I didn't know better. So it took a while to learn. But, man, it was a wild experience.
So from there, you're getting into trouble. At what point do you discover wrestling? Because that seems to be something that might have saved you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really, really good question. So I got in the workforce, found an incredible wife, great supporting wife, and we started, just kind of grinding and working on our marriage and, just doing things to become one. And we did that for a long time. And after about 5 years of, really grinding and putting it down in the workforce, I was in the banking industry. I was actually a debt collector, so like that's what I used to do. Like that's how I made my living. I was the guy who literally.
It's gotta be tough, yeah.
I would blow phones up and like just and like I wasn't a telephone tough guy. I was brick. I wasn't Ricky in this, but I was really successful at it. So I just one day, I don't know. I think it was my dad passed away. I got really reckless, made a lot of bad decisions. And I just got to a point where I wanted to do something. I was working for a company that was just like taking me for a ride because I often intend to be really nice to people, and then there's like a good select people that take advantage of it.
Sure.
My job took full advantage of it. They were taking me for a ride. So I got to a point where I was just like, I really wanted to get back into pursuing the art of entertainment. I wanted to do it with a purpose. I was in a new headspace. I was all about the community. I've been all about the community. I wanted to bring people together. So everything that Brickster is actually me. Brickster is me. There's really no different. I wear Lego bow ties to almost all weddings I go to. I dress like that pretty much everywhere I go.
I can vouch. I can vouch.
I mean, like, no offense, but like, yeah, my wrestling outfits are wrestling outfits, but like every outfit I wear is pretty much a wrestling outfit. Like, I'm just me, and like all my messages are just kind of what I believe in and what I breathe for. So yeah, I think wrestling was a big part of saving my life, saving my marriage. I think, when I told my wife when you're 30, I think I'm 30, maybe I was like 29. But when I told my wife that, I'm going to, stop working because like we had to get a plan. I'm going to stop working. I want to pursue the wrestling, and I want to basically walk around with my clothes off and wrestle guys naked in a ring getting sweaty. It's hard to.
That's the conversation most people have.
Yeah, and like so let's go to the other layer of the onion, right? Because like relationships are important. We just talked about them. Yeah. So what does she say to her friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or what do her friends say to her? I mean, how many of her friends are going to be able to understand this or been through this? Or no one. So so like then you get the pushback of that, and I know that she probably got a little bit of it, but. She was a big, strong no. And then, man, it was just so cool. It's just the best part of the story. It's the fruitful part. God just started opening up doors, boss. I don't know how to tell you otherwise. I don't get it. We don't get it. But there's just been so much momentum and so much favor for me. And as much as people might not think that, like everywhere I got is by design. It's by incredible people. It's by incredible relationships. It's by hard work. But, like, there's just momentum Lex Luger came into my life. Literally comes in and, like, completely is willing to be, like, a dad to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Lex Luger.
Basically, I could live with him if I needed to. And, like, that's how much he came. He was coming to my wrestling gym just to watch my friends' matches, to give them advice. Like he was, you know what I'm saying? So
and how does this happen? How do you get connected with Lex Luger?
So I got connected with him at our church. My brother runs a church up in Buffalo, a group called Vintage, which is a college age group, and it's one like he gathers like 400 or 500 a week. It's pretty big for up there. And down here, mega churches are bigger, but like up there, it's big.
Well, that's not bad.
And like he had Lex come in, this, that, and the other. Well, it wasn't even my brother who was the bridge. This other big, like, business, financial, savvy guy in there started seeing me pursuing the business. And he was like, oh, man, it'd be really cool to have you guys talk. Like, that'd be good. You could learn a lot from him. He, like, really believed in me, this guy. I'll never forget him. His name's Ryan Cozy. Like, really believed in me. And, like, he was a guy who could make moves. He's like, all right, I got lunch. Meet here at this day. Lex is coming. I was like, absolutely. I went there and it was over. I just told him my heart, told him what I believed in, told him how much, and he just believes in me. He thinks I got it. And so.
And Lex was your dude growing up too.
Yeah. And like, I'm older now and like, there's just so much going into conversations. Meantime, my wife's a solid no, as we all know, but like this eventually eventually God changed her heart. So like, she's a yes now. And then all of a sudden, we have a baby, and it's like, well, how do we do this? Because as a man that's married and as a man that's a dad, like if I work all week and then leave on the weekends, like something's going to fall to the wayside. I mean, it could be my kid, could be my wife. We don't know. We don't want to test it though. So we said the best for us is, all right, so Brick's going to stay home and take care of Valor during the day, and then he'll travel on the weekends for wrestling, and then she's going to do the 9 to 5 right now. And that's what we've been doing, and it's been a sacrifice, and but we completely up and moved and left Buffalo, New York, to move to Nashville because we felt the call, and a lot of it was what we believe for wrestling in ways. So just a wild story. It's just really cool how it all came together. I don't take it for granted. I don't know how long my story will be. I don't know what the ending is. But like, just so all you guys really, really know, I don't care what it is. Like, if the door closes, it closes. Like, I'm not going to be bent about it. I've learned so much. I've made so many incredible friends, and like, I've done such incredible, cool things. So like, I'm kind of playing with house money now. I obviously do want to get into wrestling and make a full-time paycheck so I could provide for my family. I just want to kind of give back to my wife for making so many sacrifices for me and for Brick Nation. But I don't know if that's going to be the end of the story. And if it's not, I'm okay with it.
But you've had some really cool experiences since getting into wrestling. I mean, you were on WrestleMania week last year. You've been in AIW. You've been a god at SUP. You've been traveling all over the place. I mean, you've done some really cool things in a very short time.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I just had the opportunity to develop. Okay, so let's just say this: all wrestlers aren't the best communicators, right? So for me, I can't go into a locker room and tell them I'm about to do some crazy springboard moonsault flip and say, "Hey, boys, just watch me out there," and that. What I can do is invest in people. What I can do is spend time with them. I can hear their story. I can encourage them. I could, get them lunch. That's my tool set, man. Like, those are my gifts. So in the wrestling business, since those gifts are kind of, I guess unknown or whatever, it's just been able to help me because I don't know. I just love people, man. So the important thing is as long as I'm doing something to help my story get out and me get other people's stories out, that's the job. The job is to bring people together. The job is to not only do that through the ring and through the fan, but to be a light in locker rooms, to be hands on deck. I've set up numerous rings. I tore down numerous rings. I tore down a ring yesterday. If I can do it, I do it. It's not about that. If I can help a wrestling brother, I will. If anyone's in Nashville needing a place, I'm there. I'm in it for the brotherhood. I'm in it for the industry as a whole and leaving it better than the day I came in it. So my goals in wrestling are a little different than other people. And maybe it's a curse. People like Ethan Page told me I'm beginning of my career, like, you're going to basically get chewed up and spit out in this business, brother, being a good guy. And it's like, you know what? I don't care, man. Like, that's the reality. If I was a 20-year-old kid, I'd be like, wait, what? But it's just an adult, as a dad, as a husband, it's just like a guy. Like, I'm not going to ruin my morals, my values to, to be someone I'm not. That's ultimately it comes down to.
You always got to be you, and you're just a good human being. You're, as Brett Eisen told me, they don't make them like you. You're not of this world.
Well, it's not even being out of this world. It's one of those things where I just feel like. Sorry about this.
No, it's okay.
It's. I hate that. I hate hearing that. Sorry, he snuck off. My wife caught him, and he wasn't supposed to be making noise, but he wanted to hang with Dad.
It's okay.
But, I mean, I don't want to say it's out of this world because I think anyone can be a person like this. I don't ever want people to be someone they're not. But I think what's helped me with it all is me actually doing all that. I love New York stuff, 15 years ago. Me getting a taste of everything, because believe me, it was a good taste of it. 15 minutes of fame, you could call it. That's fine. I'll take 15 minutes of fame if that's what you want to put that as. But let me tell you, it was a sweet 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? They don't get much sweeter than those. And MySpace was popping, and like, believe me, if it was those days, I wasn't worried about followers. Like, it was just happening. But I didn't really know how to take good in that. I didn't know how to use that to actually make a difference with it. I didn't know what to do with that.
Sure.
So I didn't use it. I just completely trashed it. I completely took advantage of it, made a lot of bad decisions with it, didn't probably really help people with it, was a bad influence for kids with it. And you were young, Brick. You were young. Yeah, you're right. I get it. I made bad decisions.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fine.
all of us at that age had that spot, we probably would have done the same thing.
I don't regret it, but this is what I can promise you. What I do now will not be any of that. And that's what the kind of the second coming of Brick, coming back, trying to make a difference, trying to do things, the
experience I've had from getting a chance to go up to the collective and do the family reunion, to meeting, John Thorne, to Brett Lauderdale, to, you're talking about promoters that I've wished and just wanted to work for. I got a chance to meet, kind of just help out, learn from them. Man, I was part of the stage crew. And to be pretty honest with you, this year with my injury, let's just say I probably could have been part of the stage crew again this year. And if I was, that's cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I get a chance to watch people live out their dreams. It's a week where people are going to get these big breaks. It's a week where I get the chance to see some of my best friends have the biggest moments of their life. Regardless of me, I don't care. That's what I live for this business. So, being able to John Thorne or Brett Lauderdale would say, hey man, you can help out, or you can do this and you can do that. Just giving opportunities just to kind of be there, be hands. When GCW came through Nashville, hey man, whatever you need, just this is what it's about. It's about making wrestling better. It's about learning from people that are smarter than you. Constantly trying to be around people that are better than you. Always. I'm always in a room full of people better than me. It's important. It's so important. So the collective rolled. Then I got a really good chance with some promo work with All Elite Wrestling, and obviously that kind of hasn't stopped either. Because any homework they give me, I do. Why not? Why not? And then, thank God, but it's been a huge goal of mine, and not to say that I ever would consider satisfied, but being able to work for AIW is an absolute dream of mine, well before I even got there or thought of it. Well,
this is AIW in Cleveland.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. This is okay. This is the Goodfellas stuff. We're talking. They've been around since '05. You walk on that scene, from the guys that are checking tickets, from the guys that are standing up on the side to securities, from the camera guys to the referees to the bell ringers to the promoters to all hands on deck. Everyone's got each other's back. Everyone's on the same beat. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really cool that I had the opportunity to, it's so cool that I had the opportunity to join two of my bestest brothers in the business. And I got a chance to join them because I was just being a brother to them, man. Years down the road, see him in Indiana, see him up in Buffalo, see him down in Nashville for years, just connecting with Josh Bishop, Maserati West, Dominic Greeny, just Dr. Dan, the production, we're talking they became brothers to me. And you know why?
And some really good talents too.
I'm from Buffalo. So they're northern guys, and they're starting to dip in the South. They started seeing them, and we just all connected because we drink from the same water. And, so that's kind of where that all started, and just became a really good brotherhood with them. And to be able to wrestle side by side with those guys, they're psychopaths. I am so excited to get Psycho. I can't wait.
So you have these opportunities coming up, but one thing that's gone away that you mentioned last year is it doesn't look like the collective might probably not happen. It doesn't look like the WrestleCon's going to happen. It doesn't look like a lot of these things are going to happen. We have a lot of wrestlers, a lot of fans listening to this right now who are in their feelings right now and who are down in the dumps right now and not, this is, for me, this is my one vacation a year. For a lot of these people, this is they saved up all their money for, and just a lot of, and there's a lot of fear going on right now. What advice would you give to people who they put everything into this?
It's first I gotta go after the wrestlers that were not booked this year. The wrestlers that constantly throw these aggressive messages out, because they weren't booked, or ones that are applauding that the collective isn't going on, or ones that somehow are finding a way to catch this as a victory because selfishly they weren't thought of. Those people, they do not deserve to be in the business. And we know each and every single one of you guys that do this. So we just want to say, you guys, we don't need your open arms. We don't need your welcome back. We knew who you guys are. And I want to say, I am just it's so embarrassing to see another pro wrestler not want to see another one succeed, regardless if you like their work or not, or regardless if they're over and you're not. Apparently you're not studying the business enough. Secondly, I want to thank all the promoters for just even taking risks on guys like me or guys all over the country to do these shows, to shell out all this money, to put on these moments, these memories for these fans and for these wrestlers that not only changed their life, but things that they will remember for the rest of their life. I thank those promoters for investing and giving us an outlet and opportunity to even have that. I believe things will get better. I do know that with the financial situation, nothing I say can help it. So I'm not the type of guy that's going to come in here and say a bunch of things, but I do think everything does happen for a reason. And when I look at things full circle, I try to see and try to get things out of it. So I constantly try to learn and step forward. I believe maybe these times, maybe getting a book, maybe getting a good book. I don't know. Maybe get wisdom. Maybe these times get creative cooking, get creative with your families, get creative making tents with your kids, get creative doing things that you're not normally doing. Find ways to inner channel and get in the white space to keep your creative juices flowing. I am a guy that's fueled off relationships. It's the engine of my life. If this affects anyone, it affects me more than anything. I do not like sitting home. I like social gatherings.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about. So take care of yourself. Maybe you just need to be a friend for somebody. You know, idle hands, idle time, a lot of bad habits can happen. Be wise, be alert to what's going on. Just don't sit there and just get caught up in stuff. Just be alert, be wise. It's dark times in this. It's beyond the wrestling stuff. This is health. This is wellness. This is mental health. I just want to make sure everyone's okay. And I want to make sure that the wrestling community, and just as a spokesperson for, I believe, the wrestling community with all my friends and family in it, we love you guys. Reach out. Make sure you have people to talk to. We're going to get through this. Wrestling is not dead. This is just going to be just an end of a chapter. Something new is going to happen. And listen, most importantly, wrestlers, be ready, because there's going to be a whistle that blows. And the green light's going to go. And there's going to be a bunch of wrestlers that have opportunities. And I promise you, if you're not ready to go, you're not going.
Well, Brick, that's great words to end on. Great advice there for wrestlers and great advice for fans. Where can people find you?
Yeah, man, you can find me at Mr. Brickster, 2 R's, Mr._Brickster on Twitter. Ricky Pearl's my family. Well, I mean, that's my name. My name's Richard Pearl, but Ricky Pearl is the name on Facebook. And then, Instagram's Mr._Brickster. So, yeah, if you guys connect with me, get in touch. You guys need anything, shouts of encouragement.
You still have your merch up, too?
I have 2 shirts. I do have a shirt, my new Buffalo Built shirt. I have a link for that. That is on my Twitter. That's the new Buffalo Built shirt. We also have 2 shirts that are in process of coming out through IWTV. I want you to look for those. There will be a Brick Believes shirt, which will be an IWTV exclusive. And we have one working Rip City shirt, too. So, yeah, things are rolling. And it's like, I don't even want to be like, yeah, this hurts me, because – I got my wife coming home, and she runs a property, and they have to lay off hourly employees. We're talking about people that can't pay bills.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a lot of what's going on in the independent scene as far as the financial stuff. That stuff breaks my heart. It's been a tough 2020, guys. Let's be real.
Yeah.
The Kobe Bryant stuff, this stuff, the tornado in Nashville. It's been tough. And it doesn't look like there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I promise there is light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back together. I believe we're going to find ways to find funds for these wrestlers. We're going to find ways to donate and raise funds for these wrestlers. I recommend, don't even buy my merchandise. Buy other people's merchandise. I don't even need you to buy mine. Not to be mean, but go support other people. like Dirty Daddy, Effie, people that like really just gave up everything to be a professional wrestler, and they literally were about to just, and it just got taken from them. So support all them, and you know, just come to me to get fed if you can. Just the words of encouragement, just listening is all I need. I appreciate it.
Brick, thank you so much, my friend.
Love you, brother.
Love you, brother. We have a famous guest right now, or the cousin of a famous guest right now. Now, Donnie's actually making his own way through the wrestling world. We have Kung Fu Donnie Janela on right now as we walk through the independent world and highlight some wrestlers that may not otherwise get spotlights. Donnie has been ripping up the Southeast for the last few years and has a famous cousin, but is really doing well in his own right. Welcome, Donnie, to the show.
What's going on, my man? Yeah, I'm not too famous in independent wrestling. Not so much as Joey, but you go to the annuals of Kung Fu, and I'm actually quite famous. I am the reigning, defending Kung Fu world champion, actually.
Yeah. I'll go check the Wikipedia on that, but I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's there. Donnie, tell me about a little Donnie. How did little Donnie fall in love with Kung Fu and wrestling and merging those worlds together?
Oh man, since day one, I was always a real big pro wrestling fan. My mom used to work at a gas station, and she would bring home these VHS tapes every day. And my earliest memories was watching Hogan and Andre and Hogan and Warrior and Hogan and Bundy. Like, she would just bring me home all the manias.
Oh, that's
and
sick.
For the longest time, I thought I saw Warrior Hogan live. And I'm like, wait a minute, shit was done in 1990? I remember watching that shit when I was like 2 years old, But
so you had the plug. Your mom had the video plug. That's insane.
Dude, so I remember watching all of that, dude, and like not trying to go off into much of a sad sack right here, but I really didn't have a dad. So like when you watch Hulk Hogan on TV and he's like, eat your vitamins, say your prayers and all that shit, I felt like I had a connection with Hulk for the longest time, man. So I just wanted to go up and be a superhero like him.
Now, at what point did you decide this was something that you want to pursue, and you actually want to try it? And you had the martial arts background too. I mean, what did martial arts get in the way of wrestling, or at what point did you were they kind of coming up together? What was because you kind of have the two loves there.
Oh yeah, man! I started martial arts at a young age because I was really scrawny. I had buck teeth and a afro, and it was easy target for a lot of people. So I got into a local martial arts class and just to learn to defend myself. And at the start of 16, I started training full time, as much as a 16-year-old can, for to be a cage fighter, mixed martial arts. That's back when the UFC was blowing up, and they had Chuck versus Tito, and that was the. So
that was my jam.
Yeah, dude, that shit was awesome. So I started training right at this local MMA gym called TC Fitness, and then like I was 18 years old and there was no fights in around here, but I was reading a back of a buy-sell bulletin and it was like cage fighters wanted. So I was like, sign me the fuck up, dude. So like all this training has come to this. I'm going to be a famous cage fighter. So I started fighting, and I had 13 cage fights, and all in Alabama. Almost had one in Mississippi, but I kiboshed that shit. And I was training for my last fight, and I was training in MMA and with that fight, and I saw a poster. There was a promotion called Pro South, which is a smaller promotion here in Alabama. And I was like, oh, dude, my little brother Sean, who was just like me, super into pro wrestling. I was like, dude, let's go check this shit out. It'll be fun. So we went to a show and saw it, and I stuck around, and I told one of the owners, like, hey, man, I'm an athlete. I would love to get in here and try this out. So the dude named Ace Haven was the guy that ran it. He trained me. And then training pro wrestling and training MMA has got to be some of the most miserable shit when you have to go early morning spar. Yeah, and then go tear your body up, learning how to bump. In their ring his dad was in a band, so he had a jack underneath the ring so it didn't bounce when the band was in there, right? Because they played shows in the venue. So for the first month of my training, I was bumping on a ring with a jack underneath it with no give. So
oh, God.
Worst shit ever, I'm telling you. So yeah, I was like, you know what, man? In the middle of a weight cut, I had my last fight, and I was like, all right, I like fighting, but I love pro wrestling. I love being able. I'm more of an entertainer, you know. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put all my eggs into this basket, and that's what we're going with, dude.
So that was how many years ago?
Shit, I had my last fight when I was 24, 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago, yeah.
Cool. Cool. So you've been wrestling all around Alabama since then. Tell us about the Alabama scene.
The Alabama scene,
Yeah.
it's almost non-existent. Bag ass promoters out here that like to take advantage of people, and we have a bunch of people that are in their bubble. I mean, they're not bad shows. Like the place I got trained at, Pro South, is really good for green kids like that come through there, and it's a weekly show. Every week they have a YouTube stream, so you get to learn like angles, and you get to like it's a place for like young guys to go through and do well on, but they don't draw very well. I mean, and they don't have like any buzz. They have no connection to the indie scene. Then you've got New South, which is coming up, and
It's really coming up. It's been, especially the last like 6 months to a year or so, New South is blowing up.
yeah, man, that happened at a weird time. Like when I first got there, dude, I was a pre-show guy setting up rings and stuff, and Cabana Man Dan was he wasn't even wrestling. Then for some reason we just kept busting our asses, and the guy that books it, Dump Sanders, is now really good friends with me and Dan, and he was along the mindset of, hey man, we draw 300-400 people every show, we're good. And then Dan and I got in, and we plugged ourselves into the independent scene across, I'd say, the South through the Northeast, and really started helping get some talent going there and trying to get them, our partnership with IWTV and all that stuff. And that was a big play, I think, to getting us more buzz for sure, man.
Yeah, since you guys got on IWTV, I think a lot of people have been able to see that there's decent wrestling in Alabama. You guys get good talent. You're bringing up some good kids. You're one of them, and there's some quality stuff going on there. Oh,
for sure, man. All our young kids, man, we seen like the hardest part of being an independent wrestler, I think, is the very beginning, when like, especially when you're trained by someone who, like, my trainer didn't travel or do much independent wrestling at all outside of like maybe one or two shows. So he didn't, like, it wasn't his fault. He couldn't tell me how to go out there and do things. Like, I remember one of the things I was told was, yeah, man, everything's on YouTube now, so you shouldn't travel. And I was like, then Bob Evans came down, and I did a seminar with Bob, and Bob was like,
Bob.
And love Bob Evans, dude.
He's great.
People can say what
great
they
guy
want about Bob. Bob Evans is a quality fucking dude. But then, like, I started getting in carloads, and I'd look up independent promotions, and then I'd show up, and they're like, where are you from? I'm from Alabama. That's 11 hours away. What the hell are you doing here? I'm just trying to set up a ring and get work. And then Dan came back, and Dan got buzzed because Dan did a Bev Nerd show back in the day, so a lot of people remembered him from that and remembered his run with Chikara. So then I started hopping in cars with him, and me and him would get everywhere. So then our kids would show up, like my little brother Sean. You got two fly ties, an Alabama guy, Daniel Perez. Those guys.
Hot tamale.
Yeah, shout out. And you got the Talladega Knights, who also are in on that. And we've adopted Chris Crunk, even though he's kind of a punk ass, but he's kind of our Tennessee doesn't fucking want him.
Not my favorite wrestler. Yeah, trust me. Speaking on behalf of Tennessee, we don't. No, just kidding. He's growing on me.
I mean, he's good in the ring, but he's a cunt. I mean, what can you do?
So you guys have really started traveling. That's really helped to get your name out there.
Oh yeah, man.
Where are some of the places you've been traveling to?
Bro, we traveled. This past year, we we traveled to Beyond. I didn't get to work, but Dan did. We've been to GCW. I've got to work the Wombat shows twice. I haven't got to work on the actual GCW stuff yet, but that's probably coming. Let's just be real. And then, yeah, I've been to Florida to Full Throttle. I was going to make a trip down there this year and knock some more bookings out. I've been to Texas, Arkansas. I think I've been to 15 states. Just wrestling, man. Crazy as shit because I hate traveling. Like, I'm not a fan of it. And you know what I hate worse than driving 14 hours is flying, because I'm fucking terrified of that too.
Oh, no, I'm not a flyer either, man. I do not like planes. I'm too big for that ride.
Dude, Like my first ride, dude, like I was like, man, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's gonna fucking kill us. He's got a suicide mission, and we're gonna fucking die. This guy's I'm flipping out because I'm a paranoid son of a gun. But I don't know, man. It's like if you're gonna be in this shit, you either got to be real comfortable with driving 20 hours, or you just need to get bald and hop into a plane.
Now, one thing that's really helped your growth as well is your discovery that you have a cousin, and it's brought a whole new change for you.
Oh, for sure, man. I would like to credit that with training down at Windfall Factory as well, and doing a little bit of testing on Ancestry.com, and then I hit Joey up, and come to find out I'm fucking related to Joey Janela, and like that's just the wildest shit to me, and people can't believe it, man. There's no way. It's like, dude, trust me, I know. But like a lot of guys,
that ancestry ain't cheap, man. Trust me, you paid the money for that.
Dude, I know, man.
Yeah.
And it's like people will look at me because I was 6 years in before I found out, and I was establishing a name, Donnie Primetime, right? And I got the fucking tattoo on my back, and people were like, "Man, this guy just doesn't get it. He's a mark. Can't believe you would do something like that." It's like, dude, I'm not gonna just up and change my fucking name to Donnie Janela without some type of like. There's a reason for it, bro. Trust me. Like, come on, man. Why would I like? I love Joey, and he's good people, and his family and all. But if I'm gonna rip off someone's last name, at the time, it sure is not gonna be Joey Janela. You know what I mean? It gotta been like, I don't know, like Donnie Stone Cold Austin or some shit like. I don't know, man.
Donnie Reigns.
Yeah, fuck, man.
You imagine Donnie Reigns? I just imagined that in my head, and it was the greatest thought I've ever had in my life.
Bro, dude, I learned how to keep my hair wet because of Roman Reigns, though. Like, so there's a relationship there. You don't know it yet, but we're friends.
And speaking of your hair, you have possibly my favorite hair in all of wrestling.
Bro, you roast me all the fucking time for my hair, dude. Every time I get it, it's like, man, Donnie's got this shit in there. Check him out, huh?
No, Donnie's gonna walk around. No, you have my favorite. Let me explain because you commit to it. I roast you out of love because we're friends, but
fair.
you commit to it more than anyone I know because you got to walk around with that haircut. You got to go to the gym. You got to go to CVS. You got to go to the grocery store. I mean, not now, but like theoretically, like what's around of coronavirus, like you walk around with that haircut and you just live the gimmick all the time, man.
Bro, it's something that I don't know where I picked this up at. I'm unapologetically me in every sense of the term. Like when I was in high school, I used to walk around with kickboxing gloves on, with eyeliner, with like band shirts, and like those. You remember those jeans that were like real baggy? I forget the name of those things.
Like Jinkos?
I don't know if I've just had too much style or just never had it, period.
It's one of the two.
Yeah, which it works for me though, because like I stand out. Like you don't see people that look like me or that dress like me. It's kind of like the airport test. If I was walking through an airport, you would go, "Oh, what does he do?" Because he looks either like he's homeless or he looks like you can't put a finger on it. He's not. I'm not a normal person, man.
No, you're unmistakably a pro wrestler. For sure. In 24/7, you're a pro wrestler. I'm looking at you right now. You have the Janela glasses on while you're doing a podcast. That's amazing.
Dude, these things are fucking almost $100, dude. There's no way I'm taking these things off ever. Get the shower, man, for sure.
Explain the new Donnie Janela character.
Oh, man, it's just me. Like, I remember, and this is going to sound so wild, because no one ever credits this guy with shit, but I was doing a Robbie E seminar, and I was just plain babyface wrestler and like just trying to do pro wrestling. Like I locked up, I grabbed a headlock, shoot off, drop down, shoulder tackle, leapfrog, hip toss. That was the kind of person I was. It was boring. You couldn't, besides the way I looked, you really couldn't pick me out of a crowd or anything. So he was like, I need characters. He's like, when you walk out of that curtain right now, cut a promo and give me a character. And I was like, man, I'm a mixed martial artist. Like that's something that's truly me. You see a lot of people walk around the independents trying to be the MMA fighter who's never had a fucking, fight in their life, have never been to a gym or nothing like that. But at the same time, there were so many of those guys, and I'm like, man, I'm never going to be as well known as Brock Lesnar or Matt Riddle or Ronda Rousey. So I'm not going that path. I was like, I'm going to take this shit and I'm going to go the opposite end of the spectrum with it, dude. I'm going to go straight Bruce fucking Lee with it. And let's just see if it's fun. I come out, I start, and everything. I strike a few poses and Robbie fucking dies. He's like, this is good. He's like, if I'm a TNA guy right now, because he was still working with Impact at the time, he goes, the only fucking guy I remember is the karate guy. Well, dude, that's me from now on. So I got out of the fucking cheetah print tights I was in, got me
Those were hot though, man. Those were hot.
For sure. Which is another thing that really kind of gets me when people say, oh man, you're trying to rip Joey off. You have a leather jacket. You got this. Like, dude, if you go look at me fucking 5 years ago, I'm wearing the same shit. Like there was a story. We were coming home from Mississippi. All In was playing, and it was Joey Janela versus Adam Page. And my fucking, like, I knew Joey because you can't be an independent, not know Joey Janela, but like I didn't know him that well, you know. And my fucking inbox was blowing up. People go, man, we thought that was you, man. I was like, ha ha ha, very fucking funny, you know. Like the guy.
So, talk to me about being an independent wrestler on the rise, because we now know that everything on WrestleMania week has been canceled. It's you were one of those people set to break out WrestleMania week.
Man, that's so damn depressing, man. I can't, like, you think and you know, it's like, man, because last year WrestleMania happened and my fellow Bitter Brothers, Cabana Man Dan and O'Shea Edwards, went to New York, right? I think they had like 1 or 2 bookings.
Yeah,
Dan ended up,
yeah,
4 times. And then I felt left out because I just wasn't there, man. Like no one wanted me, like, and I don't blame them because, you know, you could have got any other long hair white kid to do exactly what I was doing, I suppose, probably cheaper. So I didn't make myself stand out in any kind of way. Then the news got broke for Janela. Of course, people saw that and what they'll do, and you know this. Oh man, we could bring him in. That'll be funny. It'll be cool. And like, oh god, this kid can fucking work. So it started, you know, one thing after another started snowballing, and that it's like with Warhorse, how Jake Parnell was a fucking great worker, and he's been a great worker for fucking forever, ever since I've seen him work. Like, but he puts on fucking face paint and he starts screaming, and all of a sudden he's the fucking Warhorse, and now everybody wants him. So it's just that one little thing, man, and next thing you know, you're snowball effect, man. You're picking up steam. But so this year for Mania, like I just started getting hits, and I was supposed to do of course I was going to do a kung fu fight with Shea Fu, right, for my
pizza party. Couldn't wait for that.
Yeah, Kung Fu World Championship. Now, dude, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for you. Even if we do it, they'll announce it. It was going to be 3 3-minute rounds. We were going to have judges, right? We're going to do points. Shit was going to be wild. Like me, like, dude, in the match, it's going to happen, and when it does, that's going to be one you guys are going to want to fucking watch. And then I had some WrestleMania gear coming up. You watch Dragon Ball Z?
I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy, but a lot of my friends are into it, yeah.
I had some Hercule gear coming, dude. That shit was going to be hilarious, man. Like a fake belt and everything. It was just going to be just really playing off of it. But then I was, of course, man, I think Primetime Pros said they were going to have a spot for me. I was going to work Crux because you got to protect Lane. Battle Royal was just too fucking funny not to be in, dude. Like, as soon as, like, Carrie's a G, man, and then he's been one to tell me since day one. He's like, you got something special, man. This is before the Janela shit. He's like, when someone finds it, man, you're going to be making a lot of money. And sure fucking enough. But as soon as I saw he was running the show, I was like, dude, I'd love to be in on that. And if you were there, too, that shit was going to be dope. Joey hit me up probably a few months ago, and he's like, hey, man, you know, can you be in the clusterfuck? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be the fucking dopest thing ever. Because, like, Joey Janela Spring Break is the biggest fucking...
There's going to be 4,500 people there.
Yeah, it's the biggest fucking independent show ever, period. Like, I mean, you want to be on that fucking show. Even if it's, like, the Battle Royal or the clusterfuck. Like, Colt fucking Cabana was in the clusterfuck, man. Like, that's how fucking crazy that shit was going to be. So, yeah, you're damn right I'd like to be there, man.
Clusterfuck is the highlight of the show, in my opinion. That's my favorite part.
Like, and so Cuz hooked me up on that one. And then, so I really felt like, man, it was going to be something for me to break out of. And you start getting news, you start seeing shit, you start like, man, maybe they won't get Tampa. Fucking Mania left. What are they going to do? And the collective was just like, man, well, they were on life support. And they had to shut it down or reschedule it. That fucking sucks, man. Like, me, I feel fucking terrible for O'Shea, man. Like, O'Shea had some fucking bangers lined up, and they just all fell through one after another after another. And he's in the group chat. He's just like, man, he's just watching his bookings fall off. And he's like, this is bullshit. It was fucking wild, dude.
But so, how do you recover from this? Once we get wrestling back, do you have your plan to hit the ground running?
Well, I know I have new gear coming.
Cool.
So
that's
straight. I'm gonna hit the ground sprinting, man. Like, I feel like when the dam bust, when this is over, dude, everyone's just gonna come out. Like, you're taking time off now. You get to heal, which is the most important thing, I think, is getting in better shape. And, of course, a lot of people will agree. And then, like, those nagging injuries that you really don't fucking know you have. But you're like, oh, man, my wrist is sore. It's been sore, but don't know what I fucking did to it. You get you some time off, and now you go in, you're 100% ready to fucking go balls to the wall and fucking make something of this shit, dude.
So you got a plan. You're ready to rock once it gets going. You're affiliated with New South, which is an up and coming organization. I mean, your affiliation with your cousin, Joey Janela, that can only bring good things.
Joey's.
I think this is going to be. The break is going to suck, but I think this is going to be. Once the dam bursts, I think you're going to be one of those people who are going to be on the scene.
Dude, I hope so, man. Like, there's not a Southern promotion right now that's not got me coming that's worth a damn. Like, I'm at Action, I'm at SUP, I'm at New South. Like, anywhere that's worth the fuck has me on there. So let's hope to God that shit keeps rolling and I don't fuck up and get canceled on social media for posting Pokemon and shit like that.
So if people want to find you, how do they find you? Do you have merch? How can people support you in this time?
Bro, so anything. You got Donnie Janela on Facebook. It's at Kung Fu Janela on Twitter and Instagram. Now, my Pro Wrestling Tee store will not allow me to change my name, so it's Donnie Primetime on there. I'll have to email the brother, but I don't think now's the time. So it's prowrestlingtees.com/primetime tees, or you can just Google Primetime, Donnie Primetime, Pro Wrestling Tees. Boom, there's the store.
Excellent, and definitely, you're missing bookings now, so throw a little merch money Donnie's way, because this is a guy who's up and coming. He's really trying to make it in the wrestling business, and here's some income that he was going to have going for the next couple months that he doesn't have. So money you were going to spend on those wrestling tickets, throw a shirt at him. Get a Donnie Janela shirt. That's something to really wear around. And people probably ask you questions at the grocery store, which is the only place we can go to now.
Like, I don't put any shirts out that I wouldn't fucking wear, which is not saying much because you've seen how I dress, but I think they're fucking.
Awesome. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it, and we're all rooting for you, brother.
Go Buccaneers.
I hate you. On the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, Place to Be podcast number 544, JT Scott and Jennifer Smith are getting everyone prepared for the hottest show of the summer with a look at SummerSlam Fever from 8/19/90. On the main event 144, Scott, Nate, and Steve are joined by Jordan Duncan to talk about the state of wrestling during the coronavirus pandemic. On row one, seat one, I had Righteous Jesse and Pizza Wrestling's Dan Scotty. And a brand new show, Andy Atherton and Scott Criscola do a deep dive on the legendary wrestler Triple H. Welcome to the Evolution. Check out the Place Nation pop feed. There's some great shows for you guys to listen to, including the Glenn Butler Hour, Podcast Spectacular, the Urine Pop, Laugh-In Theater, DC4U, The Great Debate, Marvel Age. While you're at it, check out the Jenny Position, hosted by Jennifer Smith. I'm home of Geek and Sassy, Talking Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, Telling Stories, and Journey Through Infinity. And the new North-South Connection with JT Rizzaro and Chad Campbell. It's a new home for Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, The Extreme Three-Way Dance, and Jeff Learns Wrestling, and more. We've kicked off our 2020 stretch project, determining the greatest WCW match ever. You can have all year to do your research, promote matches, and build your list. And God knows we have the time now. Conversation rules can be found at facebook.com/GWCW matches or on the Pro Wrestling Only message board. On our social media pages, the greatest sports logo of 2020 tournament is going on. There'll be 4 matchups a day, so like it on our Facebook page or follow it on Twitter so you won't miss a single one. Check out PlayStationNation.com. We got weekly columns like Trend SmackDown and Fox Report, The Week in WWE, Paulie's Perspective, and Ben's Unpopular Opinion. And don't forget about Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. And if you're doing online shopping at Amazon.com, be sure to click on the Amazon banner on the right side of Place to Be Nation or use PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon. Takes you right to Amazon and helps us out with no cost to you.
Through the years, for people like us, in places like this.